Ron, thanks for the introduction, and I commend you for organizing a great conference. Keith Thompson from DigitalVision Systems. We're a Georgia Tech Venture Lab company based in Atlanta. I'm here to talk about the VisionOptimizer that we are working on. It is a multifunctional technology platform for vision care that's going to introduce some all new features for the industry, including a new way to do refraction to much higher resolutions than available today, and adding new functionalities in virtual try-on and telemedicine. So full disclosure to this audience, I am an ophthalmologist, and everyone in the optical industry knows at least two things about ophthalmologists. One is they know nothing about optics, and secondly, most of them can't refract. So it's a bit ironic that an ophthalmologist is here talking about a refraction technology. So let me share with you a brief story of how that came to be. Back in the 90s when I entered practice, refractive surgeons like me were doing all kinds of crazy things to try to correct vision. Radial incisions in the cornea for nearsightedness, transverse incisions for astigmatism. For high myopia, we were taking a device, best described as a miniature lawnmower, and running it across the cornea.
And all we had to assess the optical effects of these procedures was our trusty friend, the 4-opter. The 4-opter really didn't explain the changes that these procedures imparted, and I worked with a group out of Boston at MIT and Harvard. We developed a technology we called spatially resolved refraction that better explained these by spatially resolving the refractive error of the entire visual system across the pupil. And we had some success with this technology. We deployed it in our practice in Atlanta, helping us understand better what was going on with the optical system after refractive surgery, and we actually used it to improve the results of LASIK surgery in the early years of that procedure. We always thought that that technology would have a great future more broadly in the vision care industry if we could find the right sets of features and functionalities to add to it.
What really is wrong with the 4-opter, and is it limiting the industry in any way? Well, the 4-opter's been in use coming up on 100 years now, probably several 100,000 installed base. Several generations of clinicians have been trained on its use, and many are quite skilled in its operation. So why change? Well, I think the short answer is there is nothing wrong with a 4-opter. It's a great device. It's simple, it's elegant, it's inexpensive, and had the rest of the industry not changed since the 4-opter was invented, I think the 4-opter could probably have another 100 years of runway ahead of it. But the industry has changed. Just look around this meeting at some of the innovations. The optical manufacturers now have digital surfacing technology. They can make highly advanced, customized, progressive lens designs. Lenses can now be lathed down to a potential of 1/100th of a diopter of accuracy. There's all kinds of new anti-reflective, polarized filters and coatings and photochromic lenses that are used to improve wearing comfort. On the presbyopia front, there's been tremendous advance in multifocal contacts as well as intraocular lenses, opening many options for presbyopes. So between these innovations and the patient is this device we call the 4-opter. And in this context, the 4-opter and the methods of prescribing and recommending these innovations to patients with the 4-opter truly has become a dinosaur, and it is limiting. So we were motivated to develop the VisionOptimizer to address these deficiencies, to create a multifunctional technology platform that could provide new and better ways to refract, to bring resolution to the level that's now possible in manufacturing, to provide virtual product try-on capability, and telemedicine features to reduce the costs and increase the access to vision care. This is our very first prototype of the VisionOptimizer in our clinical practice in Atlanta. It was built by my co-founder, Jose Garcia, who's a biomedical engineer. And you can see here he cobbed together a console of remote lenses, a couple of relay mirrors, patient exam chair. But as kludgy as it looked, its performance really blew us away. It outperformed the 4-opter in terms of its precision and resolution. We could take patients off the street wearing their spectacles and over-refract them and improve their vision in about 90% of cases. The patients loved the experience of testing, preferring it about 20 to 1 over the 4-opter, and the doctors that we showed it to were really excited. So we knew we were onto something of significance, and we applied for and were accepted into the Georgia Tech Venture Lab program. The Venture Lab program is an incubator of sorts run by Georgia Tech that provides companies that have developing technologies deemed to have some commercial merit, provides some grant funding and support, but more importantly gives the companies access to the depth of engineering talent at Georgia Tech. And in particular, we teamed with a group at the Electro-Optical Systems Laboratory, which does some very advanced systems engineering and optical systems for the Department of Defense and Industry. This team had the talent to help us engineer our VisionOptimizer prototype, which you see here. So here's our VisionOptimizer prototype on the Georgia Tech campus. You see this is the exam chair. The optical bench contains all the optics. They're above the patient's head, not placed in front of him. The patient looks at images relayed in a viewport, and these are the images that are projected into the right eye and left eye of the patient, and you see the data as it comes up here. The primary question always asked, the first question I always ask that I'd like to answer preemptively that everybody wants to know is, well, how long does it take to do a refraction in the VisionOptimizer? And here you see that our engineer and optometrist have done a binocular subjective manifest refraction to 5/100ths of a diopter in about a minute. So that's how long it takes to do a typical refraction. So let's move on to talk about how the VisionOptimizer works. And since this is a symposium on innovation, innovators rarely innovate in a vacuum. And in our case, we were inspired by two great people in the field, Bill Humphrey, who founded Humphrey Instruments, and Luis Alvarez, who was a Nobel Prize winner in physics. These gentlemen invented in the 1970s their first device called the Humphrey Vision Analyzer, and it introduced two important principles to the industry. The first was that instead of using a dial of fixed power lenses, the Humphrey Vision Analyzer employed continuously variable power lenses. And the second thing was they relayed those corrective lenses to the patient's eye using a relay mirror. So we were very inspired by this architecture and incorporated it in the VisionOptimizer. So the heart of the VisionOptimizer is what we call the wavefront generator. It's located above the patient's head in the optical tower, and it is comprised of a light engine, in this case an organic light emitting diode that has very bright, high contrast, high resolution image generation, and those images are then passed through a stack or an array of continuously variable power lenses. These are of course under control of the computer, and that can be controlled either by the operator or interactively by the patient, as you saw in the video. This relay mirror then, located where the eye chart is today in a typical exam room, a few feet in front of the patient's exam chair, relays those images to the patient's eyes during the exam. The VisionOptimizer incorporates a tracking system so that this mirror is actually actuated and keeps the images perfectly centered on the center of the pupil during the exam. This greatly increases the accuracy of the exam and allows the patient to move about normally, normal postural movements without having to be rigidly immobile behind a 4-opter. So that's the architecture of the VisionOptimizer and how it works. Let's look now at what's really different. What new features will the VisionOptimizer introduce to the industry? First, let's talk about refraction. It's not my prerogative to tell any other clinician or their staff how to refract. There are many that are highly skilled and expert at using a 4-opter. They're comfortable using Snellen eye charts, quarter diopter, fixed power, spherical and cylindrical lenses, and optimizing the power and axis of cylinder using Jackson cross cylinders. If you want to refract that way, no worries. Right out of the box, you can use the VisionOptimizer exactly as you would use a 4-opter. Just bring up the image of the 4-opter on the multi-touch screen and you've got a 4-opter. I would even contend that the VisionOptimizer is a better 4-opter than the 4-opter because you can have full view of your patient with no obstructing instruments, no induction of instrument accommodation, and you don't have to worry about alignment of the patient during the exam. But for those clinicians that want to explore some of the new features and functionalities, I think that they will like some of the new ways you can use the technology to perform subjective manifest refraction. And this is because the VisionOptimizer's spherical lenses and cylindrical lenses operate completely independently. There's only Jackson cross-cylinder lenses in the VisionOptimizer, so there's no spherical power. What this means is that in astigmatic testing and refinement of astigmatism, you can use very simple line and dial-like targets. This gives patients an easier task to perform that have clear endpoints that are less ambiguous than looking at Snellen letters at the end of a typical refraction. Also, the patient has interactive control at discretion of the doctor during the test. This requires really a less intensive need for supervision during the refraction, and many patients actually can guide themselves through a refraction. Also, a new first is an integrated autorefractometer and accommodation monitoring system. Patient sits in the chair, looks at a distant target, and very quickly a binocular autorefraction is determined, and this system can be operated during the exam to provide monitoring of accommodation, which all clinicians know is very important in not over-minusing young patients. Over-refracting patients with their spectacle lenses is not a problem. The optical architecture permits this to be easily performed, and then you can quickly show them the difference in an update or a new prescription will provide. Regarding the resolution of refraction or ultra high definition refractions, freed from the constraints of fixed power lenses, we can refract to resolutions as low as 1/100th of a diopter. Not many patients will appreciate this level of resolution. Some do, but most, I think, will appreciate somewhere between an 1/8 and 5/100ths of a diopter, and that can take advantage of the technology that digital surfacing optical laboratories can provide us in getting optimized prescriptions for patients. We're working with partners in the manufacturing and optical laboratory partners to provide feedback loops so that the manufacturing of the lenses meets the specifications. This is still somewhat problematic as the metrology technology is lagging a little bit, but I have confidence that the optical industry will deliver this in the next several years. Let's move on to a new feature that I think those of you in the industry will be very excited about, and it's virtual product try-on. After doing an ultra high definition refraction, you can then show the patient the improvement in eyesight using real-world scenes under real viewing conditions. And let me point out that this is real optics, not simulation. So if you have an improvement in vision or an improvement in the refraction to 5/100ths of a diopter, you can select a scene where that's most likely to be noticed, such as this dust scene of Chicago showing a lot of high-frequency targets, high spatial frequency targets. You can also show the benefits of lens enhancements and product enhancements, such as the optical effects of photochromics and polarized filters, such as looking westward in the sun. And again, this is the real optical effect, not a software simulation. Similarly, we can do virtual try-on of different product designs, and the wavefront generators adjust as a function of position of gaze. So you can show patients the different types of PAL designs and their effect on vision as a function of gaze direction. You also can use the technology to totally customize eyewear for patient for lifestyle specific second and third pair, so forth, by letting them virtually try on these products in real time. We're also working to use our tracking system to capture stereometric data from the patient's face and head, and this can be used to support virtual frame try-on applications either in the clinic or later when the patient's online. Finally, what about telemedicine? The entire architecture of the VisionOptimizer has been designed to be controlled through the computer. So this is going to permit real-time consultation, the ability for optical retailers to balance their staff between locations and around the country, and will go, I think, a long way towards increasing access and lowering the cost of vision care. The doctor will be able to consult with the patient either in person as he is here, or across the clinic or around the world as necessary, depending upon the type of business model involved. So where are we in introducing the Vision Optimizer? We're presently in this what we call alpha testing on the Georgia Tech campus. We're checking out all of these features and functionalities. We're making glasses in conjunction with our partners. We're very appreciative of the support we've received from leaders in the industry, including Transitions, Essilor, Zeiss, Hoya, and NVI. We expect to have beta units in the field by spring of this year, and then we expect to have production units delivered by the end of 2015. So in summary, the Vision Optimizer is a new multifunctional technology platform for vision care that will usher in some new features and functionalities that we think will be very helpful to the industry and improve outcomes and be a profit driver for the industry.